Hey, there's the good news is that he's okay, and those others involved in the truck and with the accident are okay. The bad news is that he's obviously was impaired, and that was probably the case, which was speculated on back when he had the surgery in 2021 and nearly lost his life in Ranchos Palos Verdes. So it's very sad. He is a national treasure and an international icon. And to see this happen, again, really his third crash when you take into account the fire hydrant back in the late 2000s with his wife and so forth, there's some sort of a pattern here. And it's tremendously sad for those of us who follow sports and love sports. And, we all love seeing Tiger play. And when he came back and won in 2019 at the Masters, it was one of the greatest comebacks ever. And now to have this happen, we're just going to have to wait and get some more of the details if in fact, they ever become available. The sheriff says that's problematic.
Hey, Jim, it's Jesse. In 2021, when he almost killed himself, was there an intervention in his inner circle with his family to say, listen, you got to stop. This is obviously way too much. You're out of control. You got to clean yourself up. Did that ever happen?
I can't speak to that, Jesse, with any certainty. I don't know the answer to that question. I do know that this man has had multiple surgeries, from golf, back surgery, knee surgeries, the Achilles surgery. He has had so many surgeries that he has been in a tremendous amount of pain. And so with that, obviously, comes, all of the things that you need to take to somehow curtail that pain. What that leads to, if that is led to, I'm not qualified to speak on. I don't have that information, nor do I have that knowledge. So I can't answer your question about somebody intervened or tried to intervene. But when you've had that many surgeries, it's because you need to be repaired and you have pain.
Jim, this is Joey. As someone who has gone through this a little bit myself, having to be on painkillers for a little while and deciding to come off of them and deciding how much pain was worth to live with versus the risk that came with trying to treat them. This is kind of a bigger question. You've worked with some of the biggest and most amazing superstars in all kinds of sports. And is there enough done in these sports, in these leagues, to educate star athletes on these risks and provide services in the most, maybe in the most quiet way to say, hey, listen, this is a risk. People will do whatever you want them to. And it's, here are some ways to cope with it. I'm not trying to assign any type of situation here, but if that were the case, which is pretty plausible, that, hey, either the stress of the pressure of the success that people go through or the pain that they end up in, the latter half of their career, do you think there's enough done and they're honest enough that these sports leagues are open enough about this?
I believe the leagues try very, very hard. Yes, I do. And I believe they give them the information. And I also believe that these guys are very competitive guys and they want to get back out on the field. They want to participate in the sports that they're participating in the team sports and the individual sports. And let's just be clear. I have no idea what Tiger Woods does or doesn't take. I do not have that information or that knowledge, nor have I spoken to any of his doctors. So all of this clearly goes down the line of speculation, just being able to ascertain from having this many surgeries what a normal person would go through with surgeries, and then compound that with what guys who are in professional leagues do after their surgeries. But I do believe that the league sports try very, very hard to make sure that these guys are treated properly and that they don't get dependent on these types of things.
Jim, it's Kennedy. Where was he in the middle of this comeback? Because obviously it's been a very intriguing cycle of, winning championships, getting injured, coming back when all odds were against him. Where was he at this point in his career before today?
At this point of his career, he had not played competitive golf since 2024, okay? And when he was trying to get ready for the Masters this time, coming off the back surgery and the Achilles and so forth, well, we saw him play on Monday night on the indoor league, which he is one of the creators of, that was on ESPN, and his team lost. Jupiter lost to Los Angeles, and he was able to play, and he's able to hit the ball, Kennedy.
Yeah.
He's able to hit the ball, Jesse. He can play golf. The problem is he has trouble walking, and you could even see a little hitch in his gait in the indoor league when he was walking. And that's the problem with playing Augusta National or going out and playing competitive golf. He has the undulation, walking up to the 9th hole, walking down the 10th fairway, walking back up to the 18th green. It's very, very difficult to walk, not only one round, but try and do it for 4 rounds if he makes the cut. So competitive golf for Tiger Woods is very problematic, and it has been for quite some time. And going forward, if he could ride a cart and get that exemption, he could go out there and shoot a great score because he can golf. The man is probably the best golfer in the history of golf, him and Jack Nicklaus right there. Jack has more majors. Tiger is widely acknowledged, however, for this era to be by far and away the best. But the problem is you can't do that on the PGA Tour unless you get an exemption, and Tiger has said repeatedly he would not try and take a competitive advantage from the other people who are his opponents because he thinks that would be unfair. So he won't ride a cart. So if you have to walk, his golf career has been and will continue to be, in jeopardy and very, very difficult for him to be able to walk these courses and play. And so it's a fact of life. He's going to be able to play on the senior tour, and senior tour allows him to ride in a cart. So with that, he can go out there and probably shoot a score because his golf looked good the other night.
I am so glad to get this history of Tiger Woods' pain. And imagine if you did this kind of narrative for every person who was pulled over for a DUI. We don't. I'm sure everybody has a story behind that time that they got pulled over. They got in a fight with the wife. They've been having bills to pay. Maybe they're going through a divorce. Maybe the guy, is depressed. We don't sit and just go forever talking about this, how boo-hoo-hoo. The guy rolled a car. He got arrested for a DUI. He's not the victim here. I don't know why we did this in 2021. It gets me to, it's not his fault who's talking. I'm just talking in general that I find it really kind of like silly because there are thousands of people who have problems every day who make mistakes, get arrested, and we don't do this. But they don't happen to capture the imagination of the world. I get it.
Tiger
That's the
Woods
narrative.
has captured the imagination of the world.
I get it.
He's
we
the
have to
most
play this
talented,
narrative
greatest
because it's
ever,
Tiger
so-
Woods. I'm telling you, I don't care if it's Tiger Woods. That's my point. So it may capture your imagination. For me, it's just infuriating. Not your problem, mine. Good to talk to you, though.
Well, Jim, we always appreciate when you can join us, and we really, really appreciate you jumping on.
No problem.
Love you, Jim.
I'm a sportscaster here, so you want the sports aspect of it. It concerns sports
I wasn't
fans
talking about
because
you.
we
I was
like
just-
watching him play.
Yeah.
We love watching him play, and so that's
Yeah.
why the interest is so peaked.
We understand. Jim, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you all.
All right. We've got Alexis McAdams. She's got more details. And Alexis, I also, point out this happened in the middle of the day. The arrest was at, I believe, 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's right. And one of the things that stuck out to me, too, was just as you mentioned before, a residential area. So it's a small roadway there, a 30-mile-per-hour speed limit. So according to the police, Tiger Woods is going pretty fast and his SUV clips the back of a car he's trying to pass that had 2 people in it. And then his SUV rolled at least one time, and then I guess it was on its side, the police said, and just kind of slid down that roadway. So as Greg said, it's actually amazing that nobody else was injured here or killed in this residential area. It's a neighborhood. So they have said they're holding him there in custody behind bars for at least 8 hours. That's their protocol there in Florida. They don't mess around when it comes to DUI, and they shouldn't. So they're going to try to figure out now exactly what he was impaired by. They talk about his past, right, with those injuries you just all discussed, his, a lot of things that have happened to him. Was he on pills? Was he on medication? They said it was not alcohol because he blew a 0 on his breathalyzer test. So it's still a lot more to come on this, but a sad situation. So we'll keep you posted.
Thank you very much, Alexis.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.